Good evening to everyone. I am delighted to be with you. Well, 17 years ago, during my freshman year here at Foothill, I was putting my books in my backpack as my Spanish class came to an end. And my teacher, who was also the student government advisor at the time, we called her Miss Cano, she came up to me and she encouraged me to think about getting involved in student council. But for the next few weeks, I didn't get a response to her because I was busy, as she mentioned, playing football. However, in her characteristic, loving, and very persuasive way, she helped me to make the right decision. And looking back, getting involved in student council was one of the best decisions that I made while I was here at Foothill. And I went on to become the junior class president, and I had one of the most professional and sophisticated slogans of the year. It was, "Oh my gosh, vote for Josh." That Spanish teacher, as she mentioned, was Miss Burkhead. And I just want to take a moment to thank her, not only for leaving an indelible mark on my life, but really for challenging thousands of students here at Foothill and really across the Las Vegas Valley over the past 2 decades to live up to their full potential. So will you join me in thanking her for everything she's been doing? Well, as she mentioned, I'm 32 years old now, and I've been out of high school for a good 14 years. And so the question I want to ask tonight is, what advice would I have given myself when I was 18? What advice would I give myself when I was 18 today? And I have 3 principles I'd like to share with you. The first one is to approach life with an experimental attitude. Approach life with an experimental attitude. When I left Foothill, I ended up transferring to 4 different colleges. I started off across the street at CCSN, where I played baseball. I then transferred to 2 different Bible colleges in Missouri and Illinois to pursue my calling as a preacher. But while I was there, I realized that I wanted to study more broadly. I was interested in economics and politics and art and philosophy and so forth. I was looking for the liberal arts, but I didn't know that's what it was called. And so I eventually found Westmont College in Santa Barbara, and it's a small liberal arts school nestled in the hills of Montecito, and it's where I had my intellectual awakening, and it's where I began to truly love to learn. And what I learned from this circuitous journey is that I would have never found what I was looking for if I wasn't willing to transfer and to move and to approach my college experience with an experimental attitude. I've also experimented in my career. During the past 14 years, I've been the founder of a nonprofit that gives scholarships to young adults. I've been a pastor in Texas. I've been a server at a restaurant. I've been the founder of a leadership development company. I've been an Uber driver. I've been the author of a curriculum that brings together Christians and Muslims. I've been the founder of a tech company, and I've also been involved in real estate, just to name a few. And after all of these experiences, I've learned that I love entrepreneurship, especially when things go well. And like my college experience, I would have never found what I loved if I wasn't willing to experiment with new things, often under conditions of extreme uncertainty. Now, at the time of all of these experiments, when I was transitioning from one thing to the next, where I was juggling many different things, at times I felt like a failure. I felt remarkably unsuccessful. I thought that I was doing something wrong. But when I look back, I realized that this is just the way that life works. I've learned that approaching life with an experimental attitude can help you get out of the mindset of, OMG, everything is so final. It will open you up to a willingness to fail. And it will help you to see failure not as Armageddon, but rather as an opportunity to learn, grow, and pivot more into your true purpose. I love Gandhi's autobiography, the title of it. He calls it, My Experiments with Truth. My hope is that I will live a life that is open to experimentation for the purpose of discovering truth. So that's point number one, is live life with an experimental approach. And that brings me to my second point. Once you figure out what you love and what you're good at through experimentation, then focus so you can make an impact. After my first year at Westmont, I discovered that philosophy was my favorite subject. And one day during office hours, one of my favorite professors encouraged me to go to graduate school, but not just to any graduate school. He encouraged me to go to Harvard. Now at the time, I didn't think I could get admitted. I didn't have straight A's, and I didn't have a 4.0. But he encouraged me to not sell myself short, and he encouraged me to apply, and he said that he would mentor me as I did. And so that day I went back to my dorm, and I was determined. And I remember that day I walked into my dorm and I told my roommate that I was in fact one day going to get admitted to Harvard. And so even though this goal felt like it was more fairy tale than a potential future reality, for the next 2 years I focused on my philosophy courses that I loved and on creating the credentials that were necessary for my resume for my application. And I focused on this more intensely than I had ever focused on anything my entire life. I did it with discipline, consistency, and many all-nighters. A year and a half later, I'm proud to say that I called my roommate and I told him that I got admitted. Now this experience has taught me that when you find something you love and you focus intensely on it for an extended period of time, you can accomplish great things. And not only in my college life did I learn that, but I also learned that in my career. After experimenting with various jobs and companies, as I mentioned, I discovered that I love tech entrepreneurship. All of my past failures and successes have helped me to get to where I am now. Today I'm the co-founder and the COO of Lango. We are a mobile application that lets you connect to a live interpreter anytime, anywhere in under 2 minutes. So if you need somebody who speaks Spanish or Arabic or Russian or whatever, go to the App Store, press a button, and you'll get connected with them in 2 minutes. We're also on Google Play, so check us out. If I hadn't experienced previous failures in the tech space, and I didn't begin to focus after I figured out what I liked, then I wouldn't be where I am today with Lango. The takeaway for me here is that it's impossible to accomplish great things without focus. The great entrepreneur Steve Jobs says that people think focus means saying yes to the thing that you got to focus on. But that really isn't, that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas. You have to pick carefully. So when you find something you love, focus intensely on it, and you'll accomplish things that you never thought possible. So once you've experimented, you figured out what you're good at and what you like and what you love, and you focused, and now all of a sudden you're gaining some impact, some influence in the community. The third point that I want to make is once you gain influence, use your influence to help others. And I want to share a brief story about how I saw this third principle in a leader here at Foothill when I was a student. During my senior year, my football coach, Ray Fenton, took me and a captain from the team, another captain from the team out of class in the middle of the day. And he said there was a girl here at Foothill who was born with HIV. And the girls in her PE class were making fun of her. They were calling her HIV girl. And he said to us, he said, I want us to help her. Are you guys in? And we said, absolutely. He then took us to the girls' PE class, and the PE teacher gathered all of the students. And Coach Fenton said, each year on the football team, and this was really the first year, he said each year on the football team, we choose to adopt one freshman. And what this means is that she's going to get a behind-the-scenes access to a lot of the football events, and the whole football team is going to be connected to her. This year, we have selected, let's call her Sarah. He then asked Sarah to come up in front of the entire class, and he said, what this means is if anyone messes with her, they're going to have to answer to these two guys and the rest of the football team. No one ever messed with her again. She ended up eating lunch with us most days in the cafeteria and became good friends, and then she and I ended up going to my senior prom together as friends. When you're given great influence, it's your responsibility to use it to help others and to make the world a better place. I'd like to end my remarks with a poem that I wrote during a pivotal phase of my life. When I look back on life, which passes by in the blink of an eye, what will I say? That I wish I pursued my wildest, craziest, and most outlandish dreams? Or I tried that thing everyone told me was ludicrous. I made embarrassing mistakes. I risked my reputation. I stumbled. I tumbled. I failed. I slogged through the mud. I crawled through the valley. I slithered through the rocks. I experimented with truth. I reflected. I prayed. I learned. I changed. I transformed more into my truest self. I grew out of the mud like a lotus flower. I sprouted like a sequoia. I charged like a cheetah. I ascended like an alpine. And I flew like a falcon. And I breathed the air of my highest calling. My hope for you, senior class, as you go out into the world,